You've probably seen all of the cheap ways to soundproof a door, but this video is different. This is the best way to do it. Not the cheapest, but the most effective way. The first and biggest upgrade is the door itself. Most interior doors in homes like this one are hollow cores, and they're one of the worst offenders when it comes to sound leaking through. If you've ever cut one of these open, which I'm sure you have, you'll see why. Instead, it's not solid, it's just a thin wood frame with a honeycomb-shaped cardboard insert. That honeycomb is only there to kind of keep the door from collapsing in on itself. It doesn't really block that much noise. The outside skin of the door are only about 1/8 of an inch thick. All that adds up to is a door that weighs maybe 20 to 25 pounds, and that's pretty light. So think about it this way. A door that light might stop you from seeing inside a room, but it's not going to stop you from hearing into the room. But a solid core door, that's a little bit different. Solid core doors are built with dense materials from top to bottom, whether that's engineered wood or a solid hardwood door. Now these, instead of being 25 pounds, these weighs anywhere between 70 to over 100 pounds. That's 3 to 4 times heavier. And that weight matters because soundproofing always comes back to one thing, which is mass. The heavier and denser the barrier, the harder it is for sound vibrations to pass through. Since a solid core door is much heavier than the hollow core, the hinges matter. Most of the time you can keep your existing frame as long as it's square and in good condition. But the standard hinges that comes with a hollow core door usually aren't strong enough to hold that extra weight. That's why it's important to upgrade to heavier duty hinges and use the right screws. Go with longer screws than the ones you're replacing so they bite deep into the framing behind the jamb. That way the door will stay aligned, won't sag over time, and will keep working the way it should. Step 2, well, seal the perimeter. Now that the door itself is solid, the next problem is gaps around the frame. Even the heaviest door won't block sound if it's not sealed properly. Here's a simple test. Turn off the lights in your room, leave the lights in the next room on, and close the door. If you see light bleeding through around the edges, that's exactly where the sound is slipping through. First, make sure the doorstop trim is snug against the frame so there aren't any loose spots. Once that's good, there are 3 main ways to seal around the door. First one is acoustic sealant. This looks like regular caulking, but it's not the same. Acoustic sealant is flexible and it stays flexible, which is what makes it good for soundproofing. As a house shifts or the door frame expands and contracts with the seasons, this type of sealant won't crack or separate. Run a thin bead where the doorstop meets the frame to close up hairline cracks that you might not even notice. Second one is self-adhesive weather strip. This is the quick, easy option most people are familiar with. It's foam or rubber on a peel and stick backing, and you just press it into place on the frame. It can definitely help reduce air and sound leaks, but the downside is that it wears out. The foam can also flatten over time, and if the door doesn't close with enough pressure, you won't get a tight seal. It's better than nothing, but it's not what I'd call a long-term or high-performance solution. I'll have links in the description below of everything I talk about in this video to make it a lot easier for you to go out and purchase. The third one is door seal kit. This is the professional grade option. These kits are made of metal strips with a built-in silicone or rubber gasket. They screw right into the frame, and when the door closes, the gasket compresses tight against the door. That gives you an airtight seal every single time, and unlike the stick-on foam, it doesn't wear down nearly as fast. You'll often see these used in studios, offices, or high-end soundproofing projects. But they're not that expensive, around $50. It's something that you can easily do yourself at home. What I would recommend is going with option 1 and 3. Seal the cracks with acoustic caulking and then add the proper door seal kit for the perimeter. Step 3, seal the bottom door gap. The bottom of the door is almost always the #1 weak spot, and there are 2 main ways to handle this. First one is a door sweep. This is the classic option. A U-shaped door sweep slides over the bottom edge of the door and has a rubber strip that presses against the floor or threshold. It's inexpensive, simple to install, and works well if your floor is fairly even. Another bonus is that they're easy to slip on and off if you don't want it there all the time. Second one is the automatic door seal. This is the upgrade option. Looks like a slim bar mounted at the top of the door, and inside it's got a mechanism that lowers a rubber seal straight down when you close the door. When you open the door, it retracts so it doesn't drag onto the floor. That means you always get a perfect seal and you don't wear out the bottom edges. It's clean, effective, and a lot more user-friendly than a sweep if you're opening and closing the door a lot. Now here's something people always ask about. What about airflow? It's true that many rooms rely on that door gap for air circulation. If you completely seal it, the air can get a little stuffy. If that's a concern, you've got a couple of options. You can install a proper acoustic vent somewhere else, or keep it simple, go with the automatic door seal, or just leave the door open when you're not worried about soundproofing. And now you might be wondering, what exactly is an acoustic air vent? Well, these are special vents that let air pass through, but are designed in a way that blocks or bends sound so it doesn't travel straight through into the room. You could put one of these through the wall or even above the door if needed. Either way, don't ignore the bottom gap. It's the simple, most common reason people soundproof a door and still hear the noise. Step 4, add a soundproof door panel. This is the most practical way to give your door extra mass without layering heavy materials over the door and make it look like, crap. Soundproof panels are pre-made products designed to mount directly onto the door. They're made with dense materials like mass-loaded vinyl, fiberglass, or composite cores, all wrapped in a clean fabric finish. Some attaches permanently onto the doors with screws, or others you can just use Velcro or hooks. And the advantage is quite simple. You don't have to build anything. You just mount the panel and your door is instantly heavier and more resistant to sound. And if you choose a removable version, you can take it down whenever you want. I actually tested one of these door panels in a past video and it worked surprisingly well at blocking noise. Just keep in mind, don't confuse these panels with the $50 to $100 ones you see on Amazon. They're not the same things. Those are usually just fabric panels with a little bit of padding. They just don't have the dense soundproofing core inside. They'll help a little bit with echoes, but they won't block noise the way a proper soundproof door panel actually does. That's also why I recommend starting with a solid core door first. That alone will block far more noise than a hollow core door ever could. A soundproof panel is something you'd add if you need even more performance, or if you're in a rental and you can't really replace a door. And don't worry about mismatching doors. You can get a solid core replacement that looks identical to your old hollow door, so nobody will ever even notice the swap. You just have to, most of the time, paint it yourself. Alright, so one thing I want to make clear before wrapping this up is what doesn't work, and that's acoustic foam. I tested it myself in a video a few months back and it made absolutely no difference at all when it came to blocking noise through a door. Foam panels are designed for absorbing, which means they cut down on echo and make a room sound better on the inside, but they don't have the density or mass needed to actually stop sound from passing through. So if you've seen videos or websites claiming that acoustic foam will soundproof a door or a wall, it won't. It's fine for tuning the acoustics inside the room, but not for soundproofing. So that's pretty well it. If you enjoyed this video, you will love this one right here. This is more budget options if you live in a rental and you don't really want or have the budget to soundproof a door. That video will do it right there for you. Thank you very much for watching. Until next time, assuming you subscribed.